Hello, everyone. Welcome to Communication Makeover, where we believe that intentional communication will lead to the breakthrough you're looking for in your business and life. Today, we're talking with Richard Flint about a day at the zoo, not just about the snacks and the walking and the steps you can get in, but really understanding is giving us a tool that we can use in order to how to navigate all the different personalities around us. So we don't judge the people. Give us some practical and tactical tools. Do you have a list or anything of how to really evaluate? Because you pulled some animals out that I didn't expect for you to pull out. So where do we go from here in making this really practical?
You know, Todd, one of the things I did in order to pull this program together is I came up with my list of zoos and don'ts.
Okay, I love that.
And
Zoos and don'ts.
there can only be one zookeeper in the zoo. I've seen so many organizations where you have more chiefs than you have braves. And you got to understand this. Someone is always going to train the little parrots. And most of the time, the trainer are the monkeys. So there has to be one leader. And if the person given the position is not that person, someone else, and 98% of the time, it's going to be a monkey that's going to step up and capture your little parrots. There can only be one zookeeper in the zoo. Number two, the zookeeper must not spend their time picking fleas with the monkeys. The monkeys cause the issues. They bring all of the problems to you and they dump them in front of you. And you, before you know it, you're sitting there picking fleas with them. And you're caught up in the problem they're putting in front of you. And you're not understanding what they're doing. They're coming to make sure you have the time not to be the leader. Number three, zookeepers are humans and must not appear to be one of the animals. It was sort of like what Christ did. He walked in the midst of people, but he didn't become one of the people. A true leader walks in the midst of their people with a positive presence that is present when they're not present. Their spirit, their understanding, their personal power allows them to earn the respect. Number four, the animals will respond to the confidence of the zookeeper. You see, if a leader is not leading, then they become a participant in the confusion and the chaos. The role of a leader is to lead. They do that through leadership, not participation. And so they've got to have that positive presence. That's where they earn the respect. That's where they get the loyalty. It's also what scares the daylights out of the monkeys. Because when the presence of the leader becomes more powerful, that leader then usurps the power of the monkeys. The zookeeper must not forget that they need feeding too. This is one of the things that I find in so many people. They get into the position of leadership and they camp out. Every leader must be a student and at the same time a teacher. But they can't be a teacher if they've dropped out of the classroom. And that's why a program like this is so important, because we're not going to deal with the fluff. We're going to go deep inside and we're going to deal with the information you need in order to become a leader to these people. The zookeeper must be an educator, not a dictator. Every day, they walk in a world of improvement. What many leaders don't understand is that their leadership is either taking people from yesterday to today or today to tomorrow. And if their leadership is from yesterday to today, they are a dictator because they don't empower people with growth. They become a controller who denies people the opportunity to grow. And then a huge one. A zookeeper must be trustworthy. I must be able to trust the leader. I've seen this so many times when someone will come to the leader and want to talk to him in confidence. And they share something with them that the leader needs to know about. But for some reason, then the leader turns around and tells it to somebody else. And then it gets back to the person who had that conversation in private. And so the respect is lost, the loyalty is lost, and all of a sudden you don't have a leader. You have someone that cannot be respected. Zookeepers must understand the personalities of the people around them. And again, this is why this program is so important. 5 years of my life trying to help people understand the difference between person and personality, the difference between difficult and different, the understanding of how can I take an individual that everybody says is difficult and learn them and help them to grow, because so many times these people are different, they're valuable, but once they're classified as difficult, they're difficult to everybody.
Hmm.
The zoo doesn't have to be a zoo. The behavior, again, of all people is consistent with the positive presence of the leader.
Yeah.
If the leader is weak, the zoo becomes the Wild West.
Yeah.
The leader must study and know the dietary habits of the animals. That's why
Hmm.
the personality is so important. If you don't understand the personality, you're going to conflict with the person. And all it takes is a communication makeover. You just got to stop and not look at the person, but invest the time and energy to learn the personality. The
Yeah.
zoo will have spectators.
I'm so interested in this, the not labeling them difficult, but once they're labeled as different, then that means that my belief as the leader is that there's always a strategy in on how to feed, on how to engage in community, and how to engage with that person and make sure that they're enabling the zoo to operate as a zoo should. I like that. That's a very significant paradigm shift, and it leads to a very important leadership understanding.
Yeah, and Todd, it's also important that as I understand this personality and I understand the personalities that they hang out with, it gives me an insight
Hmm.
into what is important to them. What are they searching for? Because the people that we hang out with become a huge part of whom we become.
Yeah, yeah. Like you said, the parrots will become just like the monkeys unless the camel kind of separates the herd a little bit.
Yeah. And it's interesting because the parrot hangs out with the turtle,
Hmm.
hangs out with the ant,
Hmm.
and these all these new personalities. And
Yeah.
it just blows my mind when I watch leaders who won't invest in getting to understand their people, because that's what leadership is about. Leadership is about
100%.
leading. And most people don't lead because they're too busy being busy with everything except the investment in their people. And I've had leaders tell me, that's not my job. My job is to hire them and to put them in place and make sure they do their job. And I say, then you need to be fired,
Hmm.
because your job is to mold people into a partnership where
Yeah.
through understanding you can direct them in the direction where their value increases and the company grows because of their presence. Their growth is what will take an organization from today to tomorrow.
Absolutely. And I really want to take this opportunity to also talk about how people walk through this program, because it's not just an assessment you can take. This is you've set up a retreat environment to really understand this in depth. Talk to me a little bit about that.
What we do is we have a 3.5 day retreat, and it's limited to 15 people, because this retreat is governed by conversation, it's governed by communication. And as we talk about each of these different personalities, then the people have the time to share with each other personalities like this they've worked with and what have they done with them. And we do it, we begin on Thursday night with a reception, and then we all have dinner together. And then on Friday, Saturday, we have a full day from 8 to 3 where we talk about and we go into depth with the animals, not only their characteristics, but I'm going to give you leadership skills that you can use to work with the personality. And then I'm going to show you the people, the personalities they connect within the zoo, and what strength does that create? And then we end up on Sunday morning at 11:30, and we end up with our zoos and don'ts. It is one of the funniest things you'll ever go through. I tell people, take your study guide, and as we're going through, write the names of people next to the animal that you know, and then take it back and leave it laying around the office.
Just see what happens.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. Richard, this has been extremely valuable. I have really enjoyed this. And anyone who goes through that retreat, and I'm looking forward to going through it myself, is in understanding this in depth, because this is an extremely valuable tool once a person really embraces this, because it removes it's not personal. There's a strategy to hit to the personality.
Yeah, and it actually allows the leader to lead.
Oof.
Because now they're not looking at the person, they're growing to understand the personality. You don't lead people if you don't understand the personality.
Yeah, absolutely. That is at the core, the heart and core of all of this. Richard, thank you so much for the time. This has been a valuable conversation, and will lead to the makeover that people are looking for. Thank you very much.
Todd, if people will just go to richardflint.com, there is a whole section on my website on the zoo program.
I love it. And I went there myself, and it's easy to understand. Thank you so much, Richard. All right, everybody. I know you enjoyed that. It's an intriguing concept, but getting to the personality that's actually at hand, and not just judging and pushing people away, but becoming a greater leader is about transforming your understanding of the people around us. I love you. Stay courageous, stay intentional, and we'll see you next week.